Like if you found the video valuable. Detective Lena Cross wasn't looking for a new case. After 20 years on the force, she had planned to spend the winter at her late uncle's lodge, Pine Hollow, nestled deep in the mountains. Off-grid, snowed in, no reception. She brought 2 books, 1 flask of whiskey, and no expectations. What she didn't bring: a plan for solving a murder that had gone cold exactly 10 years earlier. The guestbook. On her second day, she found it, an old, dusty guestbook tucked into a drawer beneath the check-in desk. It was filled with signatures, room assignments, and notes from visitors long gone. But one entry stood out. December 16, 2014, Room 6, Claire Danvers. Underneath it, written in smaller, different handwriting, never left. Lena turned the page. There were no other entries for that day, or that week. The newspaper clipping. She remembered the name. Back home, it had been front-page news for a week. Claire Danvers, age 29, missing after weekend getaway in Pine Hollow. Car found. Luggage inside. No signs of struggle. Search dogs had scoured the mountains. Nothing. The lodge had been closed for repairs at the time, and no staff were officially registered. Eventually, the case was ruled inconclusive. Room 6. Lena hesitated before opening the door. It smelled of mothballs and old cedar. Inside, a neatly made bed, 1 broken lamp, and frost-covered windows. Nothing out of place, except the mirror on the dresser. It was shattered. In the corner, behind a loose panel, she found something chilling: a torn corner of a photo. Claire's face, smiling, and a message scratched into the wood beneath: "He comes through the back." A visitor. That night, Lena heard something she hadn't expected: a knock at the front door. She opened it cautiously. A man stood there, mid-60s, flannel coat, scar on his right cheek. "Sorry to drop in," he said. "Didn't expect company up here." He introduced himself as Reed Halterman, a hiking photographer passing through. Said he'd stayed here once years ago. Winter of 14, actually. Lena's heart froze. The lie. She invited him in, offered coffee, watched his eyes. When she mentioned Claire Danvers, he blinked too long, sipped too slowly. "Don't recall the name. That your friend?" Lena smiled, but in her coat pocket, her hand clutched her badge. He didn't know she was a detective. The tape recorder. She set a voice recorder on the table, pretending it was for a podcast series. Asked him if he remembered any other guests that weekend. He shrugged. Storm rolled in fast. Power went out. Didn't really see much. She replayed his words. In the background of his voice was another voice, faint, distant, a woman whispering, "Please, let me out." The basement lock. The next morning, Reed was gone. Left before dawn. Left no tracks. Lena checked the guestbook again. There it was. December 16, 2024, Reed Halterman, Room 3. She headed straight to the lodge basement. At the bottom of the stairs, a rusted steel door, bolted shut from the outside. She pried it open. Inside, shelves of canned goods, old skis, and in the far corner, a suitcase with initials CD. The hidden journal. Tucked inside the suitcase was Claire's journal. The last page. "The man with the scar said I couldn't leave until the storm passed. But it hasn't snowed in days. I don't think I'm ever leaving." There was no signature, only a small bloodstain on the corner. The map. Behind the fireplace, Lena found a hidden crawlspace. Inside was a rolled-up topo map with markings, X's over certain spots in the woods. Each had a date. Most were between 2010 and 2014. Lena matched the dates to local missing persons cases. Claire wasn't the only one. She might have been the last. The cabin. The last X on the map was a mile up trail. She hiked through the snow, gun holstered under her coat. At the site, a half-collapsed hunting cabin. Inside, she found a generator, a cot, ropes, and dozens of Polaroids. All women, all alone. One photo showed Claire tied to a chair, eyes swollen from crying. In the background, blurred but clear enough, stood Reed Halterman. The trap. She returned to the lodge and called the case in using the landline. The storm outside had finally cleared. By dusk, she sat at the front desk again, waiting. Reed came back, pretending he'd dropped his glove. But when he saw her gun on the table, his face fell. You're not vacationing, are you?" She nodded slowly. "No, I'm here for Claire." He ran. Didn't get far. Epilogue. Justice in the snow. Reed was arrested the next morning. The lodge became a crime scene. Thanks to the journal, the map, and the photos, multiple cold cases were reopened. Claire Danvers was never found, but now, at least, the world knew what happened. Lena stayed long enough to finish her second book. The title? Room 6. The Cold Case That Waited 10 Winters.